If Shady were an organization, it would be Integrity Initiative. Lo and behold, an army of propagandists disguised as anti-propagandists, whose job is to malign, to slander, be it states, ideas, people, even British politicians.
Our investigation has found worrying evidence. The shadowy program's official Twitter account has been used to attack Corbyn, the Labour Party and their officials. One tweet quotes a newspaper article calling Corbyn a useful idiot that goes on to state, his open visceral anti-Westernism helped the Kremlin cause, as surely as if he had been secretly peddling Westminster tittle-tattle for money.
You can imagine the shock Mr. Corbyn must have felt when he learned through these leaks that Integrity Initiative had an operation to defame him, all funded by the British government, no less. But slandering Jeremy Corbyn, opposition politicians, isn't their only job.
The Integrity Initiative, which is working to counter disinformation overseas by bringing together groups of experts to analyse and discuss the problem posed by Russian disinformation. The government is funding this initiative with nearly £2 million this financial year. That funding covers its activity outside the UK, and it does not fund any activity within the UK.
The hacktivist group Anonymous has leaked details on the operation. Integrity Initiative functions by setting up independent clusters. Candidates seem to be handpicked. Big plus if you're influential, charismatic. But the chief requirement seems to be you've got to really hate Russia.
The Integrity Initiative was set up to bring to the attention of politicians, policymakers, opinion leaders, and other interested parties the threat posed by Russia to democratic institutions in the United Kingdom, across Europe, and North America.
Now, here's what's been bugging me personally. If these white knights and self-professed fighters for the truth are what they say they are, why are they hiding? Why are they trying to stay in the shadows?
Anonymity of the team remains paramount. As our activity increases, we will, no doubt, attract unwanted attention.
Irregardless, here's how their cluster system works. Say you have an article in the French Le Monde, a harsh attack on alleged Russian propaganda in France. The author, a French professor, happens to be part of Integrity Initiative, French cluster, at least according to the leaked lists, and gets paid to trash talk Russia. They even boasted of their grand plans when visited by a co-founder of the Institute of Statecraft, which birthed Integrity Initiative. In Italy, the Atlantic Council published a big study with help from an editor of La Stampa, a very influential Italian newspaper. Surprise, more bashing Russia.
It became increasingly evident in 2016 that Russian strategic narratives, sometimes including disinformation and conspiracy theories, were systematically spread in Italy by the vast network of pro-M5S websites and social media accounts.
Not so much of a surprise, Mr. Iacobini is also listed as a member of the Italian cluster and also gets paid for his work. Unfortunately, according to an internal Integrity Initiative memo, there appears to be a shortage of Russian propaganda in Italy.
In Italy, it appears evident that the promotion of a strategy to spread disinformation and to influence the Italian political opinions has been limited and came much more from national populist parties rather than from Russia or whatsoever foreign country.
Strange, isn't it, how they chose to keep that part secret? We can go on and on about other clusters, but you get the point. Heck, Integrity Initiative even targets us here at RT, according to the leaked documents. They have people, presumably who they pay, to report RT to Ofcom, the British media regulator. Ofcom actually publishes complaint statistics only if there are over 10 complaints. RT didn't make that list. It seems like Integrity Initiative, not audience members, convinced Ofcom to go after RT. We've all noticed how anti-Russian sentiment in the media has soared over the last years and soars still. We now know one of the reasons. But above all, these leaks, and in my view, tear the masks off the cabal that fights Russian propaganda, as they claim. And what's underneath is ugly.
We asked the UK Foreign Office to comment on the Integrity Initiative allegations. It tells us that the claims were being spread by Kremlin news channels as part of a Russian disinformation campaign. We spoke to Piers Robinson, Chair in Politics at Sheffield University, and he says this is much less about countering Russian propaganda and more about sowing and embedding narratives on a domestic and regional level.
It seems to be just as much about promoting and shoring up official UK policy towards Russia as it is about actually countering any Russian threat. The UK government and other Western governments in the US in recent years have had increasing difficulties persuading enough of their populations as to the legitimacy of the foreign policies that they've been pursuing. And at the same time, Western countries have been going through a period of political crisis and economic crisis. And I think a lot of this drive is as much about trying to shore up shaky official narratives and trying to shore up political systems in a situation of political crisis as it is actually about countering Russian propaganda. I think I would suspect that that's a little bit of an excuse here, that really what's going on are problems much closer to home. This is not just to do with the UK, this is Europe-wide, and there also are indications from the documents that they're intending to start to have some kind of impact within the United States. So it's a very wide-ranging network that seems to be established. The reason why it needs to be covert, of course, is that if a media organisation or if a journalist is to let on that he or she is involved in a programme which quite clearly is pushing a particular agenda, then the credibility of that journalist will be damaged. And this is really what is very deceptive about the Integrity Initiative. It's about co-opting journalists and academics into essentially a campaign which appears to be a propaganda campaign in order to manipulate opinions. And the only way that can really work effectively is if readers and viewers don't know that what they're reading is something which has emerged from a particular political agenda.